Good morning, Binanceans, and welcome back to this week's ep of Binance Beach. Joined again by Greeny. Thanks so much for coming back on the show, mate. It's good to have you.
Thanks, Liam. It's a pleasure to be back, guys. Great to see everyone.
Awesome. So it is great to be back for me too. Our local intern, Orlando, has been covering the show for the past couple of weeks, chatting with a few of our community members. I was in Japan, had a great trip, and now I'm back for AusCryptoCon next weekend. So thanks for covering, Orlando. Did a great job. Definitely check those episodes out if you're interested in working as a Binance Angel or kicking off your career in Web3. But we're here to talk markets this week. I should go away more often because we had an absolute hell of a pump while I was gone. How are you finding the markets at the moment, Greeny? Are you feeling the green vibes?
Oh yeah, mate, absolutely. The market's heating up. We're in a bit of a short-term pullback right now. But yeah, man, this is the time to lock in. Meme coins are hitting crazy valuations. You see Peanut go to 1.5 billion in 2 weeks. You're seeing Goat hit $1 billion. It's definitely the time to lock in and start thinking about what trends are about to sort of happen in the coming months and into 2025.
Well, let's talk trends, and we'll start with what I think is the biggest trend, even from a macro perspective right now, Bitcoin, which has been on an absolute tear since the Trump election, which is now, about a week ago? From basically 76K running all the way up, breaking multiple all-time highs to above 93,000 US dollars. That was about a 30% move on the week. So absolutely fantastic. This means that Bitcoin was at that point our best performing global asset by such a strong way. Up over 110% on the year versus all of our other kind of macro assets. So that was fantastic to see. We saw some really strong performance across the board as well. Basically, everything followed Bitcoin into the green. ETH got on its bike and moved, which was great to see. And we'll talk about Sol versus ETH soon. Dogecoin was a particularly strong performer after Vivek and Musk were announced as the leads of the Department of Government Efficiency. We saw heaps of Doge mindset share on Twitter this week, and XRP as well, notably on some rumors about maybe a new head of the SEC. I won't speculate on those, but definitely a really strong response from the DeFi sector more broadly. How did you follow these? Were you surprised to see crypto pump so much on a Trump victory, or was that what you expected, Greeny?
I'm going to say I probably expected it to pump. Probably not this quick and not this fast, but when you do step back and consider it on a macro time frame, right? We did consolidate for 8 months. So from basically March until, a couple of weeks ago, we were in a bull flag, a macro bull flag, making lower lows, lower highs. And we finally started to change structure as it was sort of nearing the election process. And it was becoming more obvious that Trump was probably going to win. And so the market's price always front runs the news. And sure enough, BTC, Poly market even was starting to show that the whole crypto space was probably going to go pretty crazy if Trump obviously got the nod, and he did. So yeah, it's great to see. Like, this is what patience is all about. I know you and me, we've been in this market for a long time, and it's just great to see. But yeah, it's moving quite fast, and that makes me excited for the next couple of months. But it makes me a bit wary of how long this actual cycle could potentially last.
Well, there's a lot of buy-side pressure. This note from Bernstein that Yano tweeted out. Bernstein is an asset manager with 800 billion in funds under management. I think it is slightly below that. Welcome to the crypto bull market. Buy everything you can. Don't fight this. Add crypto exposure ASAP. So that was crazy to see. Obviously, it now looks like we have a crypto-friendly president, a crypto-friendly regime, potentially some more crypto-friendly regulators in the US, which is the most significant market in the world. That is definitely, I think, what is adding buy side pressure here. And we might not see short-term sell side pressure off the back of that. Clearly, the institutions agreed. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF surpassed the gold ETF in total assets in just 10 months, which is just mind-blowing. And if we jump into some data on those, the spot Bitcoin ETFs had 2 days of over $1 billion worth of net inflows. It's just crazy. It's remarkable to see how that turned. ETH as well had nearly a $300 million inflow day. And finally, we're seeing that sit above that like $0 break even mark. Yeah. What do you think about the institutional buy pressure we have right now? And could that help hold up the market in both the short term as well as grinding up in the long term?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like, it's like I've been in crypto since 2016, and the buy pressure now from an institutional wealth standpoint, but more of a holistic perspective, that people now understand Bitcoin, right? And they understand the asset class and why it probably going to be the best performing asset class over the next 10, 20 years. Okay. And if you do think about it, like the buying pressure from this ETF is extra money that allows retailers to get in if they don't want to directly own the asset. But it also allows these massive hedge funds to get exposure to the best asset class in the world, cryptocurrency, which again puts buying pressure on. And I think we were talking about this before the show. I genuinely think that volatility, the 4-year cycle, is maybe going to start not becoming a thing anymore, because we're front running a lot of news this cycle. We're front running a lot of price action this cycle. So therefore, perhaps the volatility for Bitcoin itself, for maybe Ethereum, and possibly Solana, if its ETF gets up and running as well next year, those 3 assets could actually not dump 80% or 90% or 70% in the years to come, because they are now established as a proper market worldwide. So exciting times ahead from an institutional liquidity point, in my opinion.
And even from a nation state perspective too, we've covered on the show previously Senator Cynthia Lummis's plan to establish the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve for the US. That act is now in process. I don't want to get my terminology on US politics wrong, but it has been put forward and it's currently in the process of being considered. Cynthia tweeted that she's looking to get this done in the first 100 days of Trump's term, which would be an absolute game changer for the solvency of our nation, as she puts it. Yeah. And I mean, the poly market is definitely seeing some really strong positivity as well. The Will Bitcoin hit 100K in 2024 market, spiked up to nearly 75%, sitting at 62% at the moment. So yeah, clearly the market sentiment is positive. We also flipped silver again, which was cool to see. So yeah, definitely a bullish market setup. Unbelievably bullish, undeniably a bullish market, which is great to finally see. I mean, a bit of a sidetrack, but as someone who's sat through a bear market of the last 3 years, just how does this feel? How does this make you feel to see, even though nothing has changed in fundamentals, such a positive shift in sentiment and such a positive shift in the market? It's got to feel liberating, right?
Oh, it's absolutely, like, it is euphoric, right? I feel like satisfaction. I feel that patience and resilience is weighed off. And like, because this is my 3rd cycle, I kind of knew what was coming. And that's it. You have to remind everyone else of what is coming. And so it is liberating. It's rewarding. It's great to reach this point of time, because as I said to you before the show, I've actually started to take some profits. Now, obviously, I think we go longer and higher, but at the end of the day, I was in from middle 2023. So my portfolio is up quite a considerable amount already. So I need to start de-risking, because those were the mistakes that I made in the last 2 cycles. I round trip my bags. I had an NFT scam that I lost money to. So this time around, I'm making smarter financial choices, because I'm in the position to do so, but also because I was patient with the processes and I was DCing in at the right time and not top blasting in like we are seeing maybe some retail buyers starting to step into the market at the moment.
How do you keep in control of your emotions when you're looking at your portfolio? I imagine that's something you've learned from previous cycles. How do you keep your mindset in the right place?
Great question. And so many people ask me that question, like nearly every week, I'd say. To be honest, like you said, it's experience, it's failures in the past, it's mistakes in the past, it's also successes in the past, and it's a process. And so I failed for 7 years. I failed for 2 cycles. But what I did is I learned from those experiences. I learned my lessons. I recorded information down. I learned it in my mind to be like, okay, if I get this opportunity again, which I did in 2023, and moving into this year, 2024, if I do get that opportunity again, this is how you should go about it. And so there's no real fast way to go about it. But that's why I try and do what I do. Like I educate people so that they don't have to make the same mistakes or fail or go through the longevity that I had to go through. So I can provide them with a sort of fast tracked approach to making sort of better decisions around cryptocurrency.
Well, let's jump into this market and how you're trading it. You mentioned you're taking a couple of profits, but what's your short-term outlook and how are you tackling this environment?
Short-term outlook is spend time at in the right market. So follow the attention economy, follow the liquidity, follow the volume. Predominantly that's been meme coins, and that's been consistent now for a year and a half. So I don't see that subsiding. We spoke a little bit before about maybe some NFT plays as well. I think as people start to accumulate a little bit more wealth, they might start to look to glorify that wealth in the PFP sort of form. So I picked up a Pudgy last week, and I think that's a really good trade. But I think it's just being smart, like following trends in the market. And there's so many trends that people get stuck on and lose that next opportunity that's right there in front of them. So we've just seen Peanut go to 1.5 billion. We've seen Goat. We've seen some of your top meme coins like Pepe, Whiff, and Mog. Like they're just going crazy at the moment. So have different plays. So for me, passive income is in some of those meme coins that I've been holding for a very long time, but then have an active trading approach with some other meme coins that are starting to be new or be listed on Binance and those sorts of things, because those are the ones that are in the attention economy because they have so many people looking at it. They have so many people trading it, and the liquidity and volume is there. So that's where I'm spending a lot of my time at the moment.
Now, last time you were on the show, we talked Sol versus ETH. I'd love to hear if your opinion has changed and whether you might be allocating to ETH now or whether you're still more bullish on Sol as an asset. Where's your head at with layer ones?
So if I pull up this chart, so I just took a screenshot of this before. So this is the chart that I drew, have pretty much followed all cycles. So as you can see down the bottom, that was when we broke out middle of last year. That's where I pretty much sold all of my Ethereum into Solana. I was like, yep, Solana's probably going to outperform. And the chart against Bitcoin was actually very similar with Solana as well. But what we're starting to see is that a lot of momentum indicators, oscillators on higher timeframes on my chart with Solana versus ETH are starting to maybe reach a level of at least consolidation and accumulation again. So for me, I actually swapped a bag of my Solanas and some of my Bitcoin last week into Ethereum so that I could obviously buy Pudgy, but also just to hold some spot Ethereum, because I do think that Ethereum might start to play catch up again, at least in the short term against Solana, and then possibly against Bitcoin in the longer term for the next 6 months or so. So I think you do have to be active with your approach sometimes, particularly if I didn't have any ETH exposure. And I suppose even further to that point, Ethereum meme coins have been absolutely smashing it. Like you've just seen Pepe reach 10 billion. So you want to have sort of exposure to that ecosystem. And I think the right play is being a little bit more proactive with your bags. Now, in saying that, I still own predominantly Solana. Solana makes up probably 50%, if not more, of my whole portfolio, which makes me a Solana bull. But I still think that it's good to have exposure into Bitcoin and into Ethereum because, as we've just spoken about, you have governments, you have institutional wealth, you have retail that are going to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum over the coming years. And I think they're probably going to be the best asset returns for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, and the blocker that's been potentially removed to DeFi as a sector and to the Ethereum ecosystem as a sector with a pro-crypto regulator and potentially pro-crypto US government is huge, right? And I think that's where a lot of this sentiment shift has come from. a lot of the actions, a lot of the regulatory blockers, regulatory actions in the US were against Ethereum or Ethereum-based companies like Consensus with MetaMask, like Coinbase. And so that as potentially no longer a hurdle is huge. And even just speaking from experience, the amount of money that businesses need to spend on compliance in this space is enormous. And the potential to have some of that budget redirected back to research, development, innovation, products, because it's no longer needed to fight litigation, for example, is, I think, really bullish for the innovation and the long-term outlook of both Ethereum, DeFi, and crypto more broadly. That's interesting to hear, though. We'll definitely check in later this cycle and see how your layer one take is as well. Any other tokens that you're watching? Any other technical analysis that you want to take us through while we're here?
Yeah, I'll show my 3 big meme coins that I've been quite bullish on for a long time. So Pepe, Mog, and Whiff. So I'll pull those charts up, and just to show you how long sort of consolidation can take, right? Now, what we've seen is pretty much from March this year, a lot of, like, we're talking Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, okay, and your top meme coins. They literally went sideways for a very long time. And what we have noticed more recently is that these have started to break out. And so something like Pepe, watch for pullbacks, because even though it's still at 8 billion, this probably pushes towards 50 billion. We've seen Doge just go to 40 billion. Doge went to 70 billion last cycle. So Pepe is probably the main meme coin of this cycle. It came out before any other meme coins did this cycle and has succeeded continuously. So I'm watching pullbacks on Pepe. I'm definitely watching this Mog breakout as well. It's probably the one meme coin that I have the most exposure to. This dip here, I got a lot of DMs. Greeny, are you worried about Mog? I said, no, I'm buying more. And so that worked out well. Obviously, Binance has just listed it as well. So that obviously helps it propel to the next level. But this looks really good here. Again, we could reject a little bit longer, spend some more time accumulating, and then potentially take off to the races in early 2025. Or obviously we could bounce here and start to go the races at the moment. So Mog is definitely one on my radar. And then lastly, guys, Whiff has obviously been that Solana narrative. It's probably the strongest token. Bonk's giving it a good run for its money, but Whiff is probably the one that has that community backing as well. But again, same sort of thing. We've broken out of a long-term bullish wedge. Any retest of sort of lower price action, so coming back down here, retesting this liquidity is probably a buy for me in the longer sort of time frame. And I do think that having a sort of active approach to meme coins, where you're maybe in the trenches or maybe you're looking at those new listings on exchanges, is where you want to be spending some time. But don't fade a simple buy and hold approach on some of these top meme coins that we've just spoken about.
And of course, always remember to do your own research. Awesome. Next week, we are at the Australian Crypto Convention. You'll be there, Greeny. I'll be there. Of course, Binance Australia is a title sponsor. And among other things, we have our global CMO, Rachel Conlon, out. We got a heap of speaking slots over the course of the weekend. Rachel will be doing, I think it's the second keynote of the weekend, of the Saturday, in the keynote theater. And then, of course, we have our panel that we announced a couple of weeks ago with James from Binance, Adam Stokes, Matt from Crypto Tax Made Easy, and Patty from Crypto Tax Calculator. We've got a couple of other sessions which we'll announce early next week, which we're pretty excited about. But yeah, Greeny, is there anything you're looking forward to at the convention next weekend?
Well, I think it's just a great networking opportunity, and it'll be my first crypto event. So I'm very grateful that it's in our home country, Australia, and glad that the travel time frame for me at least aligned with being able to come back for it as well. So no, I'm very excited to meet you, Liam, meet plenty of people in the space, and just connect with some Aussies, because Aussies are starting to make more of a name for themselves in the crypto space. For a long time, it's been predominantly American, US, a lot of EU, UK people. So it's great to see the Aussie presence growing. And I think like things like this, shows like this, people like us really help bring that next level Australian into the market, which is essentially what we all want to do and move forward with. So no, I'm very excited to network and meet a lot of people in the Australian crypto space.
I look forward to meeting heaps of people who I know as little pictures of penguins or monkeys or dogs or cats on the internet, and you catch up with them in real life and go, oh, that's what you really look like. That's cool. Yeah. I'll finish with a recommendation. Little Bubble has dropped the bull market soundtrack. Bitcoin House, 8 tracks, and we've got a bunch of Sailor on there. So that's awesome. Definitely check that out if you're traveling to AusCryptoCon. Could be a great way to get yourself pumped. Thanks for jumping on, Greeny. Great to have you on, mate, as always.
You're welcome, Liam. Cheers, guys.
I'll finish with a disclaimer, as we always do. Please note this discussion includes insights from non-affiliated third parties and key opinion leaders. Binance provides this platform for informational and educational purposes only and is not responsible for any of the content or insights provided. This should not be considered as financial, tax, or investment advice from Binance. Please make sure to subscribe and follow us on Twitter and YouTube. We'll see you next week at the convention. We won't be doing a Binance Beach next week. We will be doing it live at the convention. So we'll see you there, Binance. And I'll catch you next week. Bye.